So we all know by now that the best way to play League of Legends is not actually by playing the game in the game itself, right? Blind pick is extremely casual and has changed like that kind of quick play version, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but I know some people like it. Draft pick is just to go in and mess around with friends, which if you want to have fun, that's fine. Solo queue has become a toxic cesspool for a lot of people. The rage, the lack of being able to speak with your teammates is a massive problem. And Flex, where to even begin with Flex? Flex was designed to be the way that you can play with 5 friends together. It replaced the team 5v5 queue because there weren't enough people playing that, but it's never lived up to the potential. So I've always wanted to play League of Legends in like a better way, a more organized way, but still be able to voice comm and have it mean as much as solo queue, at least, to me. Enter the low budget LCS, one of many different rec leagues where you go in with 5 friends and a few substitutes and you play a weekly match. If you're familiar with Premier in Valorant, it's literally that, but just done third party since Riot doesn't want to put this type of system in the game. Now, I'm not a rookie to this league, to rec leagues in general. I've been playing these for a few years now, and I've been trying to win for such a long period of time. And this year was gonna be the year that we finally did it. Why? Because I'm no longer a captain. I used to run my team. We're the needlessly large rods. I let TikTok pick the name. You can get the innuendo. But what I would do is I would fill up the team with 5 random people or 4 random people and myself from TikTok. Basically have open applications, do whatever. We got a bunch of people into the league like that. We even go into games nowadays and people say, hey, I'm in this league because I saw your videos, etc., stuff like that. And great. And by the way, if you're new to the low budget LCS and this is the first time you're learning about it, be sure to join their Discord. You can join a team or join a free agency thing and try and find other people to play with, and I promise you will fall in love with League of Legends again. But this year, content's been busy, work's been busy, so I relinquished responsibilities for everything there to my co-captain, my best friend, Paul. And he put together a god squad. Now, for context, this is an Emerald League average. That means that every single player has a point value attached to them. So me, I think I peaked Emerald 1, so I had a certain amount of points for me. And you have a total amount that you can get up to with your starting 5. You can't go above that, but you can obviously be below it. And we are playing in the highest division possible without it being uncapped. So we typically have 1 diamond on our team, which was Healy, our jungler. Our top laner wasn't diamond, but he sure played like one. He honestly is like the wonder fanatic to the core, where he just wants to play other games and occasionally comes back and plays League of Legends. He's really damn good when he does. And then returning from our squad from last year is Blue, our mid laner, and then Paul himself was playing support because last year he was on deployment and Uncle Sam would not let him play. You would have 2 groups of 10 teams, and due to the condensed schedule, you would only play 8 out of the 9 possible teams in your group. But that's fine. You play 9, you get your seeding, and then you go into a single elimination bracket. Every match is a best of 3 in the regular season and the postseason, other than finals. So we were in Group A, and things started off pretty good, other than the fact that we lost our first game. I think everybody had this little bit of panic in them of like, oh man, are we gonna be bad? Because we didn't really get the chance to practice all together or play all together outside of games all that much. But we knew we were good enough, and luckily in that first series, after dropping the first one, we were able to bounce back pretty well. So we start the season 1-0, great. High Alert was apparently like a decent team. I think they actually were one of the better teams from last season that ended up knocking us out, if I'm not mistaken. But overall, can't complain. Second week, exact same thing. This team actually ended up being, by the end of the season, the worst team in the league, but we still dropped game 1 and were able to bounce back in games 2 and 3 and smash pretty easily. So it was a good feeling, but at the same time, I was like, man, are we going to do this every single time? Are we really going to be dropping game 1 and then winning the 2 games afterwards? I mean, I'm not going to complain. You win a best of 3 and it's fine. But we got to clean it up a bit. And that's exactly what we did. We would string off every single other win in the regular season. We didn't drop a game at all against any other team that we would play, including the best teams in our group itself. We were on one. The dynamic of the team was honestly pretty good in the sense that I would not talk a lot. I'm not the biggest comm person. My job as an ADC is to go in there and get kills. Our top lane and jungle were probably going to carry most games, so our goal was to make sure we don't lose it in bot lane, provide weak side, know that we might get ganked, and as long as we maintain our heads and don't lose the game for our team, then we've done our role. If we can nullify, then great. And by all means, we still won some lanes, and my team fighting was pretty good. But for the most part, like, we understood our role and we played it well. We neutralized some of the best bot lanes in the entire league. On a personal note, I could feel myself getting better week after week after week. I didn't get to play all that much. I would get maybe like 8 or 9 games of solo queue in between matches at best, but it's a rec league. We're all emerald. The expectation can't be for me to play all that much. I have a job, I have a wife, got dogs, like, I got other stuff to do. Sorry, it's not like I'm on an LCS team getting paid 70k to do this. No, I'm doing this stuff for free, and if somebody wants to subscribe on YouTube or donate a Twitch Prime sub, then hey, I'll take it. But it's not like I'm doing this for the money, so I'm not too worried about improving all that much. But I was still getting better is the point. So we played through the regular season, and we end up topping our group, going completely undefeated in our best of series, having a final record of 16-2 overall. Best of any group. It was prime position for us to absolutely smash. But the thing is, you can't let yourself get cocky going into playoffs, because these are going to be teams typically from the other side of the bracket. You don't know how strong Group B was relative to Group A, and you just got to take things one step at a time. And that's when everything changed. Our first playoff series against Dirty Rats Xfinity. They were the 4th seed from Group B. 5-3 record, better than the middle of the pack in our group. And they were the first team to start to figure us out. They understood that if you can just hold on in top and jungle and then try and smash through bot, you actually stand a chance against us. Because while Paul and I are decent, the way we constructed our team, or at least the way that Paul built the roster, was that we put the most of our points in top, jungle, mid, and us in bot lane were just, again, kind of there to neutralize. The problem is, much like the LCS, carrying in top and jungle will get you far when you're playing against people that are mismatched skill, but at a certain point, that fall off does come. And when it does come to 5v5 team fights, getting your carry fed tends to be better than getting your top lane fed in the majority of these leagues. So in our first game against them, despite winning, it was not a fun time for me. 0-5, and I started to realize that, okay, this might be a problem. We would still go on to win this series 2-0, but it was the first sign to me that, okay, something might be happening here, and we might be a little bit out of our league in bot lane, or at least not improving. And at the same time, unfortunately, look, we all go through phases where you're just not playing well. You're missing CS, things aren't clicking, and that's exactly what happened to me during the stretch. I got a case of the yips for whatever reason, where I just like lost my ability to CS. People started putting pressure on me in lane, and it started causing me to miss CS because I would always just farm without really being contested. But now I was, and it's like, okay, well, now you got to step up and get better. So that takes us into our semifinal match against Team Popo, the 2nd place team from Group B. Game 1 went perfectly. I played bot lane exactly as I needed to. They very much wanted to camp bot lane and get their bot laner ahead and let him win the game. And by all means, he was freaking good. Even though I was making some decent plays and getting some split push pressure on Tristana, there was this feeling that, okay, they're doing a really good job of funneling resources into their ADC and then just protecting him at all costs in these fights. The biggest thing for them is it just wasn't enough to get on me and kill me. So I was able to live some of these fights. Our mid and top were able to punish them whenever they would try to go on me and waste all their resources. And we ended up winning game 1, so things were looking great. And that's when the counter pick happened. Shen. Oh, it's a tale as old as time. You want to neutralize top lane and just make sure it goes even and then give yourself another resource to be able to protect your ADC. You pick Shen. And boy, did they smash us. Despite our top lane Camille getting ahead, finishing the game 6-2-1, I was 2-5 against a Zeri comp with Annie to protect her, a Nocturne, and a Shen that could just dive me at any time. And you best believe the second Nocturne had ult. Doesn't matter where I was or who was around me, I was gonna die. And I did. So I made the call to my team. Hey, I am not playing Jinx. You got to give me some tool to be able to get out of this, because clearly their entire strategy is based around diving me bot lane. And if we're not going to peel for me, and we know that they're going to protect their AD carry, you got to give me some tools to be able to live. So I said, okay, give me the Tristana again. It worked in game 1. Let's see how this goes this time around. We have our mid laner on his classic Aurelion Soul. This is our game, like one game to get to finals. All we have to do is win this one and we're good. And it all fell apart. They drafted an Exodia comp into us. And I don't say Exodia because it's guaranteed to win. I say it because in rec leagues, games tend to go longer. We're not good enough to punish other people in lane all that heavily. So when you draft a Jinx and put a Braum, a Swain, and a Shen around her to be able to make sure that she never dies, and throw in a Nocturne to be able to dive me in the back line, yeah, again, I'm just gonna die on repeat, and Jinx is never gonna die on their side. And that's exactly what happened. Our season would unfortunately come to an end in the semifinals, falling just short. And we would go on to lose to the eventual winners of the entire league. Team Popo would actually go on to beat their opponents from the #1 seed from Group B. So actually, we made it the farthest and the closest out of anybody from Group A, losing to the champions themselves. But unfortunately, it was not enough, and we take home a 3rd, 4th place finish in Season 12 of the Low Budget LCS. So what do we do now? Well, simply put, we wait for Season 13. Our jungler hit a peak rank that is going to disqualify him from playing from our team. He has to play in the uncapped league next season, so he will not be a part of the team. We have to replace him. We have to figure out what we're doing otherwise, because we had some internal issues. One thing that you don't talk about publicly as much when you're just playing solo queue or flex queue, but you do when you play in these rec leagues, is the dynamic between people. You are trying to get better and actively win a league. It's different than just trying to win a game in flex queue. Sometimes personalities don't match, and you have to find out who can play well together, who doesn't, who gets annoyed by one another, whose style mismatches with one another, and that's a balancing act. And sometimes, even on teams where you play incredibly well, the dynamic is just not great. And you'll have people by the end of the year that don't want to play with one another. So you have to figure all those things out. Now, luckily, the only thing that I know for certain is that it's Paul and I over everything. Him and I are the reason why all of this started in the first place, why the needlessly large rods exist. Even though I'm not captain anymore, it's very much still like my thing that we started, and Paul is like my hand in hand, my co-owner in a way. He is the Rob McElhenney, I think I'm saying his name wrong, to my Ryan Reynolds, or whatever way you want to flip it. I have full faith in whatever roster we end up building for next season. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a little bit more experimental. And I would encourage you, if you enjoy playing League of Legends, but solo queue or flex is just not doing it for you, give the low budget LCS a try. Give any rec league a try. The nice thing with the low budget LCS is that it's free, whereas some of the other leagues like Aegis, you do have to pay. Here, it's just all volunteer work, and it's a great system. Until we get Premier in-game, it doesn't get much better than this. Maybe next season we'll be able to take home the title. Unfortunately, this one we fell just short.